Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I will now call to order the regular scheduled Apex Town Council meeting for Tuesday, August 26th to order. And I'll start out by saying it's apparent that there's some Wolfpack spirit tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to be playing ECU.
That's Thursday. That's
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought y'all would get a kick out of that. I do want to recognize a special guest in the house before we move to the invocation. We have the mother of Council Member Brett Gant. Her name is Sharice. She's attending her first town council meeting tonight. Why don't you come up? Where are you? Come up. Yeah, come all the way up, yes.
Okay.
I just have a few questions for you. Yeah, and this is all from your son, okay? Apparently your nickname is the Hammer Gant?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Arguably the toughest pharmacist in the Asheville area.
Maybe.
Okay. And mom to both UNC and Duke graduates, grandmother to
Yes.
2 future Tar Heels, hopefully. Go Heels. All right. Thank you for being here tonight. How about a round of applause for Marie? All right. If you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. We'll move now into special ceremony. It is the annual Rakas Bandhan Hindu Swayam Savik Sangh Apex NC chapter. So if you would please come up and do the special presentation ceremony. We're going in front.
Namaste everyone, my name is Krishaik Vote, and on behalf of Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangha, HSS, I'm here to wish you all happy Raksha Bandhan. HSS is a non-profit, social, educational, and cultural organization that aims to serve the Hindus that live outside of India. We have an active presence all across the United States and even a few countries outside of here. And today, we're honored to celebrate the festival of Raksha Bandhan with you all. Now, the Sanskrit term Raksha means protection, and Bandhan means a knot or a tie. So together, Raksha Bandhan means the bond of protection. On this festival, a rakhi, which is a sacred bracelet or a thread, is tied to a person's right wrist. The person tying the rakhi is wishing for the other person's well-being, while the person of whose wrist the rakhi is being tied to vows to protect the other. Traditionally, this festival is celebrated between a sister and a brother. But we at HSS observe Raksha Bandhan in a broader spirit of community service and civic engagement, one where we step out of the family boundaries to show our appreciations towards you all for serving our community. This observation reflects the core value of a Hindu philosophy called Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which means the world is one family. In this spirit, we have come together today to express our gratitude towards you, to offer our best wishes for your well-being, and to reaffirm our commitment to serve Apex community with your support. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
All right, thank you so much for that presentation. We'll move now into the consent agenda. All consent agenda items are considered routine to be enacted by one motion with the adoption of the consent agenda. and without discussion. If a council member requests discussion of an item, the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. With that being presented, are there any changes to the consent agenda or recommendations? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Sigerman, second. Gant, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We'll now move to updates. Manager Bosworth.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a few items to go over. First, I would like to take a moment to introduce our new HR Director, Carmen McGee. If you would please stand. She joins us with over 25 years. Over 25 years of experience in HR. All the red in the room, you might not be happy to hear this, but her business degree from UNC Chapel Hill. She also holds her MBA, but welcome aboard, Carmen. So we're looking forward.
Welcome.
All right, next I have a couple of fun events that are coming up. It's there's the Trans-American Motorcycle event. The Chamber of Commerce is hosting this event. It'll be September 4th. It'll be here on Town Hall campus in the gazebo lot from 3 to 6 p.m. A really cool event. There are 16 stages, so it's an antique motorcycle race. They start on the coast in North Carolina, and they're going all the way to Oregon, is my understanding. And Apex is in stage 1 of 16 stages across the country. So pretty cool event that will be here September 4th in the gazebo parking lot from 3 to 6. Also, another event coming up is the Peak City Fitness Festival. That'll be September 6th here on the Town Hall campus. It's from 9 a.m. to 4:45. Live music, food trucks, health and wellness vendors will be there as well, so a good time at that event. This is the last opportunity. Last day will be September 2nd to get your local spot passport. So that's with the new social district. There's a passport. We can go around and get some goodies there. So last opportunity to do that is September 2nd. We have a community town hall. I think Mayor and Council will be at the 28th from 6 to 7 p.m. and that's at the Apex Senior Center. That one. Holiday closure, September 1st is Labor Day. So an update, town hall facilities will be closed. Trash and recycling will be delayed one day that week. Friday pickup will go to Saturday pickup. And then yard waste will run Tuesday through Friday. And anybody that's not collected will go to that following week if we don't get you that Tuesday through Friday. Update, I spoke at the last meeting about Tunstall House, the construction. So just an update that we will begin the site work as September 2nd. So next week, that site work will start. The house work will not begin until mid-October, but you will start to see some of the site work in the next week. So that's exciting. All right, I think 2 things left. The doozies, Olive Chapel update. Let me give you what I know there. I did speak with DOT today. They are progressing very well. So the big issues there, we've had a lot of people in the community offer it's a pretty simple construction project. DOT admits that it is a pretty simple construction project. However, that gets complicated when you have to be faced with right-of-way issues and also with utility relocations. There is a water line that's in the way, and there are power lines that require relocation from Duke. So those to do the full project, which is currently the plan. We are on track. They had talked about doing a scaled back project that they could do quicker, but when they compared the time frame on that scaled back project to what they could do the full project, it looks right now we would get the full project, which is going to be better for our community in the long run. It's just working on the timing. They have had positive progress with Duke. The initial estimate we got was not great on how many months it was going to take to relocate those power lines. So they aren't willing to yet. I think next week we'll hear a more definitive timeline, but positive progress with Duke on getting that timeline down. We also on the Apex water line finalized that plan today, so we're kind of out of the equation on that piece. We've got a timeline hammered out on that. And for all of those that will be impacted from right-of-way, they have reached out to those residents. So there's progress going on the right-of-way front, utility front. So it seems to be positive progress, but it is going to be a few months at least, and we'll wait for that official release from DOT on the official time frame. Last thing I have is on the utility update. So I'll give you, we had a work session last week. Not a whole lot's changed since last week. So we will, at the next council meeting, have some additional updates. So tonight I just have a couple things for you. We do have over 20,000 customers that have signed up for the portal. If you'll remember last week, I think we were around 18,000. So that's a good sign. We've added a couple thousand in the last week. So that's good. That's where you can get the most up-to-date information. We've received some that have talked about not receiving a paper bill. So you need to, if you sign up for the portal, it defaults to paperless billing. So you need to go in and check your settings. If you do wish to receive a paper bill, it will default to paperless. So you won't get that paper bill. The cycle is about to close out, and so we're on the path to normalcy is what we're trying to get with cycle length. We know we've had some cycles in the 40s, so that's been our big focus, is to shrink those cycle times down. I'm pleased to report we're closing out one cycle, and right now we're projecting it to be in the low 30s, which is close to normal. So that's where we are on cycle length. Hopefully people will see that in their next bills. And as we progress in our software, because as we talked about last week, major software conversions that we've been doing in multiple parts, and as those pieces come online and fully integrate, and as our staff gets more familiar in that new environment, that will help us work on that path to normalcy. So I'm excited there. Reminding you that we also talked about our staffing levels. We do have a finance director identified, and hope to announce that in the next couple days. But they have been selected, and we're working through the finalized process there. So we'll have our finance director in place. As we mentioned, we have our new billing and collections manager in place. We're recruiting for several positions in finance. So we're on a path to hopefully full staffing in that department. We also have, I believe it's 4 temporary staff that are in place and are getting trained up. It's as we talked about last week, it's a complex discussion that has to occur with each account review. So we've got to have some specialized training for those individuals. So we're staffing up and training up, and we have temporary staff available there as well. And the last thing that I'll remind you of, that we are currently, it was discussed last week, but we have not set anything. We'll come back to council in the coming weeks/months related to cutoffs and late fees. That is currently not on a path for implementation anytime soon. I don't know what that looks like, but we'll certainly come back to council as we progress through, as we stabilize in our system, and then come back for the late fee and cutoff discussion. The last thing I want to mention, we've had some discussion around phone calls and calls going unanswered and people being on hold for 30 plus minutes. I did experience for myself today our wait time process. The wait time when I was participating, the dashboard showed a 7 to 10 minute wait time. We do have some people that are calling in and hanging up, and so our call abandonment rate is a little higher than we would expect. So if those calls weren't abandoned, those wait times might go up, but we're talking probably 15 to 18 minutes would be the average wait time. But as of right now, our average wait times are 7 to 10 minutes. When I was looking at the queue, we had 10 calls in the queue. So we are working through those. It is a steady volume that we are processing. And like I said, they are complex discussions, but we are working to keep those wait times down and to bolster our resources there. We also are in the process, you should see probably in the next few days, if not week, a system where we're trying to get every call to be answered live. Right now, you go into a queuing system, and so you may get hold music, and you're like, okay, there's options and there's messaging, but am I actually going to get to talk to a human? So we're trying to introduce a concept where, if we can work out the staffing levels, you would have a live touch point that would tell you, hey, you're currently would be 10th in line or 15th in line, and then the consumer can make a choice if they want to get in that line or call back at a different time or go into our messaging system. So we're trying to make that a little bit more user-friendly. So hopefully in the next few days, if not week, you'll see something additional on that. So I think that's all I've got.
Thank you for the update. Any questions?
A lot going on.
There is.
Parking lot is open.
That's right. Saunders Lot is officially open. We opened it ahead of schedule. That was scheduled for, I think I told you that Monday, and we ended up opening it on Friday afternoon. So we got an additional weekend in there, and it's going great from everything we've heard. We're starting on the next phase of the Saunders Lot, and then we are still tentatively planned for phase 2 of downtown to begin in the new year and work on the Salem Street streetscaping project.
Thank you for that. All right, let's set the regular meeting agenda. You have the meeting agenda in front of you. Are there any recommended changes? If not, can I get a motion to accept it?
I'll make a motion real quick to strike number new business 3, the recent events.
Okay. Discussion?
I think I understand the motivation to strike it. However, last time we discussed it, we never took a formal vote. So I think we do need to bring it to a vote to, have the issue decided so it doesn't have to come back.
Okay.
Right.
I would agree.
You vote? Okay. Okay, all right, so is there a motion to accept the meeting agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting agenda as presented.
All right, Zigerman, motion?
Oh, my understanding is that public hearing 2 and 3 are going to be continued.
Yeah, we'll actually do that at that time.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right, motion Zigerman.
Second.
Second, Gant, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Now we move to presentations, and we have North Carolina Turnpike Authority Complete 540 presentation. We have here special guest Alan Shapiro, one of the busiest men in North Carolina. He's the Director of Highways Operations with NCDOT. Thanks for being here tonight.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm going to give you an update on Complete 540 and a few Turnpike Authority updates. So here's our mission statement. North Carolina Turnpike Authority is committed to delivering those innovative transportation solutions on behalf of local planning organizations to which you, Mr. Mayor, are a member of the executive board here. So that's no shock to you of what our mission is with providing those for those local planning organizations, providing drivers more choices for their commute. So we always take the opportunity to educate on tolling. The department nor the Turnpike Authority advocate for toll projects. We investigate if they are a viable option at the request of those local planning organizations. They are always an option, a choice for people to make. That if they want to get a few minutes back in their day, they have the opportunity to take that toll route. There is a free alternate route for every toll route in North Carolina should a driver wish to not take that toll route. So Complete 540, that was an initiative to complete the outer loop, the 540 outer loop around Raleigh. Right now we have 60 miles open to traffic of that outer loop. We are constructing the final 10 miles with the Phase 2 Complete 540 projects. This is a schematic of the original Triangle Expressway that runs through the majority of Apex, so everyone should be very familiar with that. We recently opened Complete 540 Phase 1 in September of last year, extending the Triangle Expressway to the I-40, I-42 interchange and Garner. So what this does is it provides really a Raleigh bypass of I-40. So traditionally when folks were coming from down east, wanting to head west of Raleigh, they had to travel on I-40 through downtown Raleigh, I-440, and past RTP. And if someone was doing that on a daily commute, they'd have to go all the way back through Raleigh, almost certain to sit in some type of congestion in downtown Raleigh. And what Complete 540 Phase 1 was able to do was to provide really that Raleigh bypass, taking congestion off of I-40, decongesting that route, adding another alternate route for folks who wanted to bypass Raleigh. If folks didn't want to take the full 36 miles, we've got 17 interchanges along the way to service service our customers. So here are the TIP projects that comprise Complete 540 Phase 1 and Phase 2. Phase 1's on the bottom of the map there, in the A, B, and C projects, 2721A, B, and 2828, and Phase 2 on the right, completing the loop back up at I-87 in Knightdale, R2829A and R2829B respectively, those two projects under construction right now. So a couple of photos. This is the beginning of Phase 1. This is the NC 55 interchange in Apex, where Complete 540 started. And this is a schematic of that turbine interchange at I-40, I-42, toll NC 540. What's unique about this schematic is you see the two different colored roadways. There's kind of like a black asphalt color and then a tan dirt color. With Phase 1 open, Motorists are able to travel on any of the asphalt colored alignments. The contractor on that contract constructed the dirt alignments up to a certain point, and the phase 2 contractor will be finishing the paving on those alignments. And when we open phase 2, these alignments will be open to traffic, and the full typical ultimate build out of that turbine interchange will be realized for traffic. This is a little bit of an older picture. It's about a month old. This is looking back towards the turbine and back towards our 2828 project. This is where the 2829A contractor is constructing bridges over Bushy Branch here in the foreground. You can see where some of those dirt alignments are in the picture where that contractor will be finishing the paving within the turbine. Another picture here, this is going to be the location of the future Rock Quarry Road interchange. Contractor has their field office here, and you can see that they've already accomplished a lot of the clearing of the right-of-way here for the new alignment of the Triangle Expressway. Some construction updates with bridges and culverts. You can see we've actually finished a couple of culverts on both projects, which is a good milestone. They've also started quite a few of the bridges and other culverts. Still quite a few more left to start, but since construction only started about this time last year, we're very excited with the progress our contractors are making so far. Here's our schedule for Complete 540 Phase 2. We are targeting opening up both projects at the same time in the latter part of calendar year 2028. Some bike, pedestrian, multi-use accommodations that we've incorporated into our projects. First, I'll start with the Phase 1 projects. Again, here's that map that we looked at earlier. And these are all the locations where we have either built those bike ped multi-use accommodations or have planned for future accommodations that match the local MTP in each of the jurisdictions. Here's a drill down list of all those. I know it was in the packet, so I won't read through all of these, but we are accommodating shared bike lanes, we're accommodating separate bike lanes, and many multi-use paths across all the projects. Also, sidewalks you can see that are part of Phase 1. That's where we actually constructed the sidewalk and then ready for future improvements. That is where there was no sidewalk yet, but we made a wide enough berm, widened the bridge far enough so that when municipality does come through and is ready to put that sidewalk, that structure is already set up for that. Follow the same protocol with Phase 2. And here are those locations of those bike ped multi-use facilities. Again, shared bike lanes, separated bike lanes, multi-use paths. Also accommodated those bridges and overpasses for future improvements for bike and multi-use. And again, locations of all of the sidewalks that we're accommodating for. Wasn't planning on talking about noise walls, but staff had asked that we give some information. Seems like council and staff are getting a lot of questions from citizens on noise walls, so I'll spend a few minutes talking about that. So the most important thing to note is what we refer to as the date of public knowledge. This aligns with US DOT's policy and NCDOT's noise and air policy. Essentially, the date of public knowledge is the date of the approval of the final environmental document from either the federal highways or state of North Carolina. And essentially, that is the record of decision, and any impacted receptor that had a building permit issued before the date of public knowledge gets analyzed as part of the noise, the noise study. If there was any building permit issued after the date of public knowledge, they are not eligible to be analyzed. And that is because that building, that permit, that contractor, that developer knew that a project was coming, and so they are not accommodated for in the noise evaluation. But if there was a building permit issued before a date of public knowledge, it is assumed that that builder did not know that there was going to be a construction project being built there, so they are analyzed in that noise evaluation. And so for the original Triangle Expressway, which again is the majority here in Apex, that date of public knowledge was April 30th, 2004. So any building permits issued after that date are not accounted for and are not analyzed in the noise policy. For the Complete 540 projects, that date of public knowledge is June 6th, 2018. And so any building permits issued after that, those receptors are not analyzed as part of the noise policy on the Complete 540 projects. So the process for noise walls is, again, the policy, we analyze, we look at those data public knowledges, we lay out all the impacted receptors. We go out and do studies of the existing noise levels and then run through noise modeling based on what the typical layout of the roadway is going to be and the predicted traffic volumes. And then if a noise wall is found to be feasible and reasonable, that is another key component of the noise analysis. We are only allowed to build up to 2,500 square feet of wall per receptor. And so when you have tightly packed neighborhoods, townhomes, that receptors are very close together, they can benefit from a smaller amount of wall. When you have larger tracts of single plots of land, it is much more difficult to abate the noise properly with that cap of the square footage of noise wall per the policy. And so once we run through that analysis and noise walls are found to be feasible and reasonable, then they are balloted and they are sent to all the impacted receptors, and those folks get to vote whether to approve or reject a wall. On all of phase one, every wall was approved. We don't expect that to be any different for the phase two projects. Some of the outreach efforts that we've done with Turnpike Authority with phase one, you see we conducted over 130 presentations. We had 7,000 participants, issued over 90 press releases. Nextdoor posted over 150 times to particular neighborhoods with 2,000 neighbors. Distributed 50 plus postcards. We call those our dear neighbors. We will geolocate any type of construction activity that someone may be experiencing or hear in the coming weeks, be it clearing equipment, be it pile driving, anything like that. We'll send those out to make them aware of, hey, next couple weeks you're going to be hearing this. This is how long we expect it to take. We sent over 3,000 of those on phase one. We also have a dedicated project hotline and email, and I'll share that at the end of the presentation. That's monitored by one of our consultants, so that if any citizen, any staff or of any municipality want to ask questions, they can direct it straight to our hotline, as opposed to going through the DOT contact us, and it takes a long time to trickle down to the right place. So we try to make it as streamlined as possible for anyone to get in touch with us and get the answers that they need. Again, we're mirroring that with phase two. We've actually got 2 neighborhood meetings scheduled for the middle of next month. We're going to have one on each project on phase two, but open it up to everybody so they can come and get answers or look at plans, anything with the phase two construction projects. Again, we started those communications in early 2025, and we're starting to reach out to those local neighborhoods, local jurisdictions, to get in front of them and share any information, answer any questions that they may have. A couple of resources that we have for the Complete 540 project. You can see there, the interactive map on the left is actually kind of cool, I think. Each of those little orange dots, it may be tough to see, they're orange safety barrels, but they are an actual work item that's going on. So you can drill down and zoom into the map, and you can click on any one of those barrels, and it'll tell you what the operation is that's going on at that location and what the expected time frame is. So you can turn on your geolocate on your at home computer if you live near the project, and you can click on any one of those barrels, say, hey, what am I hearing? And you can click on that, and it'll tell you what it is. And again, the Complete 540 webpage is there on the right. We've got all sorts of different project documents. We talk about noise walls there. We've got all of our environmental permits, really a comprehensive list of anything anybody might need to see about the Complete 540 projects. And we always want to try to educate folks when we have an opportunity with our NC Quick Pass program. We've got some folks sitting outside. If anyone doesn't have an account and would like to get one, they'll help you set one up. If you've got questions about an existing account, they'll answer your questions. We're always trying to do everything we can to help folks save as much money as possible. And so by getting one of those Quick Pass accounts, you can save 50% on any tolls you may incur in North Carolina. So stop by the table and see the folks on your way out. And here's our hotline telephone number, our email address, the Complete 540 and ncdot.gov, our Twitter, Instagram handles. And that's all I've got, and I'll be happy to take any questions from the council.
Any questions for Mr. Shapiro?
I have a question. Taking you back to the sound wall conversation just for a moment. So I understand the data of public knowledge. How have you seen other municipalities deal with building requests that do come in post that date of public knowledge, right? Where maybe we do want to create some sound mitigation, like how would we as a municipality work with DOT to make it, potentially make that part of the zoning requirements, because your right of way is going to be included in there. What's kind of the protocol of dealing with those kind of scenarios?
Yeah, once the construction project starts and there either are or noise walls contemplated with the project, it's really up to the municipalities with the developers as they're approving those development plans to either include some type of a earth berm or anything like that for any type of noise mitigation. It's really outside of our hands once that date of public knowledge has passed. And so what we're trying to do even is we're actually getting out trying to talk to realty companies as well. Seems like some folks are being misled by developers thinking, no, DOT will build a noise wall, don't worry, when really they're not eligible for one. And so we don't want folks to be duped. And so we're trying to educate realtors as well with all the realtor associations to make sure that they're as familiar with what the policy is as anybody else. And so, yeah, it's once the construction project has started, it's really, we're past that point of no return when it comes to constructing noise walls on DOT property. Now, developers can construct whatever they want to, outside the right of way, but that's really kind of that inflection point in the process.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I could add on to that because I had some noise wall questions as well. I think what you're getting at is there, obviously it's too late for this project, it's under construction. In general though, is there a possibility for private developers or municipality to provide money for betterments to increase the size of a noise wall that NCDOT is building in a right of way, or fund those studies if someone's not eligible, or put it as a condition or something to, if it's between that data public knowledge and construction and development comes in, as you were saying, could make it a zoning condition that they would work with you to maybe they would fund that or something. Is that something NCDOT can do?
No, again, it's really by the black and white of that FHWA policy, that US DOT policy, and the department traffic and air policy. It's almost once you open the door, you can't close it again, and so it's a hard line, and it's sometimes unfortunate that that's the hard line that gets taken. But that's kind of that point again, that point of no return. That once we've reached that data public knowledge, that's where the decision stops as on the DOT portion of the project. I will say that there is always future opportunities that an existing highway could be restudied again. Take the I-40 widening project down in southern Wake County, Johnson County. When they widened I-40 down there, that opened up a new noise study because they were adding capacity. Anytime you add capacity to a highway, it initiates a new noise study. And so if there ever comes a point that we have to add capacity to the Triangle Expressway, meaning we got to widen from 6 lanes to 8 or 10 or whatever, then we would be required by policy to reevaluate for studying.
So are they like or whoever?
Noise and air.
Certain dates or the town.
I don't think it's the road will function any better or any worse. It's just if we didn't have a hard line in the sand, every highway in the entire country would have noise walls, and it'd look like a tunnel for the entire length of the highway. And so it's an easy determination to pick that date, that record of decision date, and that's where the decision is made, the analysis is made. And it's also, it is too a cost thing as well, that noise walls are not cheap. They're about $80 to $90 a square foot. And so it would, our state transportation program is very fiscally constrained as it is. Everyone in this area knows projects are slipping because of available funding, and if we were to have to be required to build and install more noise walls, then that would obviously raise costs of construction projects and cause other projects to delay or may never come to fruition.
Okay, thanks.
I got a couple other questions, but I wanted to say before nothing as big as noise wall. That's a big one. Thanks so much for coming to present to us. It's so nice to see a face behind NCDOT. Usually this big kind of opaque organization that we're, hearing about rather than hearing from. So it's great. Thank you so much for being here. I want to touch on the toll thing. Just one question. People don't like tolls, obviously, and you mentioned it's not your decision. You told you poll the local guy, municipalities and do some stuff, and I get it. I think the bigger point, besides people don't like paying tolls, is people around here are a little upset that we're paying a toll and the rest of the loop isn't. So why isn't... Wolfpack knows, right? So like why...
I'm an engineer. I'm a Wolfpacker too. So
Yeah. So do you have any response to that? Because people ask me that all the time.
Sure, yeah, and we get that question all the time, and it all goes back to the fiscal constraints in the state transportation improvement plan. The northern section of 540 scored well enough that it could be funded with state and federal dollars and did not require tolls to accelerate or bridge any funding gaps. The original section of Triangle Expressway, which opened in 2012, had it gone the route of the traditional STIP, at best would have been open this calendar year. And so that is 13 years that those customers have had that option to ride on the existing Triangle Expressway. And I say at best because, as I mentioned before, projects in this area are slipping. And so it still may not have been open to this date. And so that's it. I think that is the payoff that the local planning organization found, that the area is growing so much they need alternative routes for transportation, and that was a means to an end to get a project constructed. To further that, the phase 2 projects we're constructing now, this is my own humble opinion, I don't think they would have ever been built in the traditional STIP. They would have continued to slip. They would not have scored well enough in the traditional funding. And so by introducing tolling as a means to bridge that funding gap, we're able to complete the outer loop and give alternative routes for folks.
All right. 2 other quick questions. Working at night. I've gotten emails before from residents near the portion that you just opened. I imagine you get the same question for some in the phase 2. They hear people working 4 a.m., 3 a.m. Is there a policy here? Can you explain why is there nighttime work? Is there something we can do about it?
Well, I don't. If you ask the contractors, they don't like nighttime work either. They have a hard time finding folks to work that as well. Our turnpike projects specifically have very hard, must be completed by dates. Just like when you borrow a mortgage, you have dates you got to start making payments, and we have the same thing. We borrow a lot of money to help build these projects, and so in order for us to not default on those loans, which could affect our ability to construct other toll projects around the state, we have those hard dates. And so, yeah, unfortunately, there is nighttime work that is required if construction schedules slip, like on the phase 1 project, where we had 2020 was the wettest year on record in North Carolina. They lost a lot of time because of weather, and so they had to find ways to regain that construction schedule. And so, yeah, the nighttime work, unfortunately, was one of the options that was afforded to them to do that. And so, yeah, again, we don't advocate for nighttime work. We don't like it. Our inspection staff doesn't like it. The contractors don't like it. Certainly, private citizens don't like it. But it is, unfortunately, a means to an end to get that project completed on time so we can start repaying those loans.
Are you involved with the with the Capitol Boulevard US 1 project, the additional toll lanes?
I'm aware of it. I don't know if it's not a toll project yet because it's not statutorily we can't build it as a toll project. So, but I'm familiar with it. If there's any questions,
I guess my question is: it seemed like, at least from the outside, looking at the news, that it was planned to be a toll project, and then the state representatives in the area got involved and made that stop. And I was wondering, what kind of influence do our local state representatives have to help with things that are related to our toll road here?
So again, at the Turnpike, we don't advocate for toll projects, we educate. And so we did make those presentations to the local Campo Executive Board, outlined different scenarios that we felt were feasible for getting the project constructed, shared that with them. They obviously passed a resolution, but there needs to be further legislative action in order for that project to move forward as a toll project, and that's where we're looking for an action to potentially occur.
Good response.
Okay.
I like it.
My last question was about Quick Pass. And, thanks again for tabling out there. You had a good day, a lot of people here. Hope people take advantage and talk to you if they have that need. I got a Quick Pass. It's a big white box. I don't know when it's from. It got to be 15 years ago or something. I'm always worried about the battery dying. And now you got these cool little stickers. Can I just go swap it out, a sticker for the white box? Can I toss the white box? Should I? Are you concerned that I still have one of those huge white boxes?
I'm not. I have one as well.
Okay.
I mean, I have the smaller. I have the second
What's the
generation
difference?
white box. There isn't any anymore. When you bought that larger white box originally, that allowed you reciprocity up and down the East Coast.
Well, the stickers don't do that.
Whereas originally the sticker didn't. The sticker was only North Carolina, but we have advanced the technology in the 12 years, and so now the sticker works anywhere that we have reciprocity with. So you can go get a sticker and toss your white box, and you'll have the same ability to drive anywhere on the East Coast that you do now.
All right, thank you.
I guess that battery will run out. Ask me how I know.
Sometimes you go up there and it flashes the red stop sign at you, and you're like, oh, what just happened? What do I do? And you just go, and you just hope there's no consequences. And you're wondering, like, I bought this white box 15 years ago. Is the battery dead?
Now, there's no stop signs. We are all electronic. There is no stopping.
Yeah. Well, when it says the toll's not paid is what I mean. It's like, no. So.
Mr. Shapiro, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Good job. Good job. Okay, we'll transition now into public forum. This is the opportunity for community members to address the town council. We're going to be listening. We can't respond to you, but we're taking notes. There is a policy as far as how many speakers can come up. You have 3 minutes if you're speaking for yourself, if you're speaking for a group of 4 or more. And I assume y'all are all together, right? all I ask is that you designate someone to speak for you. If you have more than one, we just don't like to hear repetitive comments. We've heard you the first time, but if you want to do it again, that's fine. We want to listen to you. We'll continue to listen to you. We know why you're here, so please give us everything you got. Okay? That's for everyone in the room. All right. So we'll go ahead and open it up right now. The first speaker is Doug Stewart. If you would come up, give us your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Doug Stewart. I live in Jordan Point, 3525 Estates Edge Drive.
9 minutes.
So based on this petition that I'm holding that I'd love the opportunity to share with you, more than 1,500 citizens and growing just from less than a week, we agree. We agree that the true measure of a community is not what we allow to be built, but rather what we're willing to sacrifice. And this evening, we're really here as a community to ask you to consider how the proposed data center will impact not just New Hill, but also Apex, Cary, Holly Springs, Wake County, North Carolina. And very soon we'll have to answer a question and make a decision as a community. And first, I guess, before we talk about the decision, let's first maybe discuss the question. And the question ultimately becomes, will the peak of good living continue to be a peak? And that's a big concern for us as it pertains to this data center. And to be clear, not because we oppose data centers. There's nothing that we're necessarily saying that we want to keep those out of North Carolina or even our geography in general. It's unnecessary human cost that's really the location of the data center more than the data center itself. And this really is eventually, I guess, will be a vote, but even more than that, the vote ultimately is a vow. And the vow is, are we going to focus on the health of our community over the financial gain, short or long term, that we get as a city? You know, as I was thinking about this, I saw this. This is a birdhouse my grandfather built for me in the early '90s. My grandfather was a woodworker. I'm a native from this area, and just like this birdhouse here, our community is handcrafted. It's imperfect, but it's also built to last, just like our town is. And each of you as council have been a part of handcrafting our future. And ultimately, you're the composers of the Apex Orchestra. And for that, that's something that we're incredibly grateful for. And we're grateful to have people to advocate for our citizens. And on that note, I guess let's talk for a moment about the health of our community. So we've got some clear warnings from research done by the National Institute of Health, the Environmental Protection Agency, that the particulate matter, air emissions, thermal output from these data centers all raise, respiratory, neurological, and cardiovascular risks. And the data is really clear that the pollution near these facilities can raise by double digits, of which we don't have that to risk. And you may think that it's way out in New Hill, but the reality is there's 1,400 residents within 2 miles of that site. My wife and I walk almost every day in our neighborhood, and we walk further than it would take us to walk to that site, notwithstanding the risk for ecological challenges and other challenges that we may face in this particular site. And the financial costs will undoubtedly cascade into Chatham County, across to Apex, into Cary, Holly Springs, and the rest of Wake County, North Carolina as a whole, not just from a health risk, but a financial risk. And ultimately, from our perspective, we don't believe that's harmony. We believe that's an unnecessary note that fractures the melody of our town. And so just a note about light and noise. So for more than 1,400 residents, light will bleed into our neighborhoods, noise will disrupt our sleep and chase away current residents and keep away future families, which is something that none of us want. We all want growth, and we are proponents of that growth. From an economic and infrastructure standpoint, it's clearly a burden. Granted that this data center will bring hundreds of jobs during construction, and then maybe skeleton crews of 30 to 50 people. And this center will guzzle our electricity. It'll strain our grid. It'll give us risk for outages. And ultimately, it'll push costs downstream to citizens of New Hill, Cary, Apex, Holly Spring, and of course, other areas. So this will impact every single household in some way that Duke Power serves, if we decide to make this choice. And this proposition is a bill, but not a legislative bill. It's more of like an invoice kind of bill. And higher taxes, higher utility rates, risk of infrastructure strain. It's not an economic melody. We might call it a bill ballad, which is not something that we want to have, of course. So consider who carries the greatest impact when Duke Energy makes the call. And I guess the question we all have to ask ourselves is, are we willing to trade our community and the control we have over our community for corporate demand? And All right, Wolfpack. Okay, Wolfpack. And really, folks, that's not sovereignty, it's surrender. And that's not what our community is built on. And so we believe this is a legacy kind of moment. And it reminds me of not very long ago, I was in my kitchen, my kids saw some fireflies out in our backyard. So they're out playing with these fireflies. And out of reflex, I decided to go out. And as I'm walking out, just reflexively, I turned the back porch lights on. And when I turned the back porch lights on, the firefly lights dimmed, and so did their smiles. And our fear as a community is that is the equivalent of what happens if we allow things like data centers to go in the wrong place. And so, in closing, tonight, we, the citizens of the town that you serve, we have questions, which is, will Apex trade its serenity for servers? Is Apex willing to trade our children's breath for bandwidth? Are we willing to trade Apex's peace for pollution, especially right next door to our citizens? We can only hope to continue to be the peak of good living if each of our elected officials stay committed to being the peak of good decisions. And we believe you will be. So let's honor the recipe that made Apex what it is. Let's keep our flavor uniquely ours. Because if we stray too far from this recipe, we don't just risk a generic taste, of course. We risk a recipe that no one wants a second helping of. So let's find an alternative site for this data center that doesn't include unnecessary human cost, because the true measure of our community is not what we allow to be built, but rather what we refuse to sacrifice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart, for speaking. Courtney Lemansky.
Hello, my name is Courtney Lemansky, and I'm here as a resident of the Shepherd's Vineyard subdivision and secretary of the Shepherd's Vineyard HOA. As encouraged by Mayor Gilbert, I'm here to meet our flooding concerns head on. Shepherd's Vineyard Greenway is a 1-mile stretch that gives residents safe, scenic, accessible passage to the Eva Perry Library, the pool at Shepherd's Vineyard, Apex High School, grocery stores, daycares, pet clinics, downtown Apex, including this town hall. Even as a private greenway, we serve the greater community through events like Run the Peak. The greenway sits in a floodplain. When I met with Councilman Mahaffey, he mentioned that developments like ours would never be built like this again. This does not absolve the fact that homes in the subdivisions, their utilities, and Greenway need collaboration from the town to further mitigate damage that has occurred. This is not a new issue. Shepherd's Vineyard has documentation of over the course of decades asking for partnership. You can call me the ghost of flooding and stormwaters past. It is not for lack of trying to maintain on our own. We have incurred the financial burden to repair the banks, retaining walls, and bridges as water levels rise and having community plant days that the town has disrupted. The conflict between Shepherd's Vineyard Greenway and the town's stormwater easement needs to end. That being said, I ask the council to take the following steps towards resolution. Take further investigation into the infrastructure at risk on the Shepherd's Vineyard Greenway that belongs to the town easement, like cracked pipes and electrical lines that flow under the plain. Activate and advocate for programs similar to Raleigh in their rainwater rewards program to manage the flow. Hold the business owners and developers accountable around Shepherd's Vineyard for the increased flow to our greenway, ensuring that they maintain their stormwater systems as well. Make a big deal, not just about local, but state and federal land grants with education and assistance on how to apply. And finally, as you make stormwater and flood decisions, please consider communities like Shepherd's Vineyard. For example, agenda item NB2 with regards to requiring native plants can drastically improve the water flow for Shepherd's Vineyard and surrounding neighborhoods. Please don't let us drown. We cannot do it without you.
Thanks for speaking tonight. Thank you so much. Elizabeth Stitt.
So I have more than 3 minutes tonight. I have a group.
Yes, you do. Please. Thank you.
But I won't take the whole 9.
Okay.
Elizabeth Ray Stitt, 3113 Friendship Road, Mayor and Town Council, good evening. I do not have red on tonight. I met with the group last night and wore my only red shirt, so here I am in black and white. So, when you took office, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution of North Carolina. That oath is not symbolic, it is binding. Once our courts have ruled, if you violate the law, not only do you expose the town to liability, but to yourselves, because your qualified immunity does not protect you against willful violations of the law. On Friday, August 22nd, 2025, our state Supreme Court published a major ruling against Apex in the town of Apex versus Rubin. In a unanimous ruling, written by Democrat Justice Riggs, a justice that many of you highly respect and have very publicly supported, found that Apex violated North Carolina Constitution and law and ruled with prejudice to prevent Apex from bringing the same claims against Ms. Rubin in the future. The ruling also puts Apex on notice that, 1, Apex interpretation and use of eminent domain powers to take property from a private party for the benefit of another private party, it is an unconstitutional taking. 2, if Apex has unlawfully entered a private property, it is a government trespass that landowners may sue Apex for. 3, Apex cannot right past wrongs with the use of inverse condemnation. 4, if a taking is illegal, even after construction is complete, Apex is still liable. 5, Apex should not rely upon its own opinion of its authority, as that is a matter for the courts. 6, the court affirmed that their prior action doctrine prevents Apex from pursuing multiple lawsuits at one time against a property owner for the same purpose. As such, the town's second lawsuit against Ms. Rubin should have been barred. This ruling has immediate effect. To help you uphold your oath and to comply with this ruling, I will be sending you a detailed email of the above points, along with a copy of the Supreme Court's ruling for your records. It is now your obligation to instruct the town to abide by this ruling and to instruct the town to dismiss all eminent domain cases where the town's taking is for the benefit of a private party, including all of the town's Big Branch Forest Main eminent domain lawsuits, which are primarily for the benefit of private party Viridia. These takings are unconstitutional in the same way that the courts found Apex taking of Rubin's land unconstitutional. I'd like to thank each of you in advance for upholding your oath, upholding North Carolina's Constitution and the law, and proactively ensuring that the town immediately stops violating my neighbors and my constitutional right to our property immediately. Thank you.
Bill Welch. You have 4 more people as well. I do. Okay.
6, actually.
Okay, good. 9 minutes, please, Mr. Clark.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, public. My name is Phil Welch. I live at 1471 Big Leaf Loop in Apex. I've stood here many times before pointing out the need for more housing choices here in Apex. Tonight, I bring a possible solution to the ongoing need for more housing choices, especially for our essential workers. This is what my spiritual mentors would call a God-sized dream. It will require elected officials, town staff, and community members to work together. But first, some background. I'll admit I was skeptical when the town commissioned an update to the 2021 Affordable Housing Plan barely 4 years after adopting the original plan. But then a statistic from the consultant's updated housing needs assessment caught my eye. 93% of Apex's workers commute to jobs outside the town. That's not too surprising for what many call a commuter suburb. Then I realized that this meant that only 7% of our workers here also lived in Apex. A few years ago, I heard that 12% of our workers here also lived here. So it appears now that even less of the workers who serve us in Apex are able to be our neighbors. This seems like a problem, especially if it is our lower income essential workers who are unable to live in town. Is Apex turning into an economic sundown town? Our essential workers, including town employees such as early responders and teachers, plus retail clerks, food service workers, landscapers, house cleaners, and many more, are welcome to work here, but at the end of the day, they have to leave town. They have to live someplace else. In the 4.5 years since Apex's first affordable housing plan was adopted, the town has made incremental progress in providing more affordable housing choices. However, it has not been enough to keep up with the growing number of service workers needed here. The recent update to Apex's affordable housing plan projected a need for over 13,000 new homes over the next 10 years, including about 3,600 of which would be affordable to households earning a range of incomes up to 80% of the area median income. As a point of reference, HUD's 2025 income limits for the Raleigh area estimate that for a family of 4, 80% of the area median income is about $104,000. This future demand for housing does not include the affordable home choices for thousands of Apex residents who now pay 30 to 50% or more of their total annual income for housing. This exceeds HUD's guideline of no more than 30%. The projected demand also doesn't account for the 20,000 plus workers here who already commute from outside of Apex. Simple math would estimate that the town will need to produce at least 360 new homes each year to house just the additional lower income households. This tells me that we could use a few large residential developments to meet these numbers. This brings me to the recent announcement of the selection of Apex's Viridia Master Development for the location of the new NC Children's Medical Complex. NC Children's will be built on about 230 acres by a partnership between Duke Health and UNC Health. The 1,100-acre Viridia site in Apex is being developed by RXR, a major real estate investment firm. Over the next several years, NC Children's will require tens of thousands of construction workers to build the medical complex, and it will ultimately employ about 8,000 workers. Of these, I would estimate that over half, well over half, will be modestly paid service workers, which begs 2 questions. Where will all of these essential workers be able to live? And is it possible to provide affordable home choices for these workers in the adjacent residential developments in Viridia, where about 8,000 homes will be built? The good news is that the Duke Health System and the UNC Health System are both not-for-profit institutions. Under a recent 2010 federal law, not-for-profit hospitals are required to conduct a community health needs assessment every 3 years and to adopt a plan to address identified community needs such as housing. I believe these two health systems might welcome the opportunity to work with the town and Viridia's residential developers. They could supplement the financial support available from public sources. This could boost the construction of for sale or rental homes affordable to lower income households, including homes for essential workers needed at the NC Children's Medical Complex. Apex has a golden opportunity, and I'm looking at you, Mr. Mayor, to demonstrate how bringing together public and not-for-profit funding can expand Apex's housing choices. Specifically, I believe that it may be possible to bring together public and not-for-profit funding to fill financing gaps for affordable homes. Public funding is already available at various levels of government, from state-administered federal tax credits to the town's housing rehabilitation program and the upcoming first-time homebuyer program. Funding from nonprofit organizations, including not-for-profit medical institutions, may take a bit of negotiation. On the plus side, this additional funding could greatly expand the production of housing choices for our neighbors and the essential workers who serve us here every day. I firmly believe that we have the vision and the will in the peak of good living to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. All right, we have now Mary Miskimmon, and you also have 4.
I do, yeah.
Okay. Can you,
Back here, yep.
okay.
Thank you.
9 minutes, Mr. Clerk.
Ready?
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members and Manager Vosberg, and thank you for the update tonight on the utility billing issue. That is why I'm here to speak. I watched the Town Council's August 19th work session, yay, and noted the following. There were a fair amount of comments regarding inadequate staffing before and then throughout the entire utility billing issue, which occurred about over 13 months ago. Also, the subsequent billing vendor change and the meter change out, including one comment that staff was stressed before by the growth alone in Apex before the cyber attack and utility billing issues. So I guess my question is, why is there any staffing issue shortages, especially when the town's budget has grown about 60% over the past 5 years? And why is the town pushing projects through when they are already stressed when it comes to staffing? Now, regarding the cyber attack itself, I'd like to know what is being done to address the issues found by Barry Dunn and their recommendations, specifically to conduct regular system upgrades and establish clear protocols for system access and troubleshooting. Was the town not already doing this? I encourage Apex utility customers to watch the entire August 19th work session. It's available on YouTube. So messaging and staff seem to be an ongoing issue for the town. I appreciate that the council indicated, finally, a willingness to be more transparent in addressing the various and ongoing issues in the utility billing department. I'd like to share just a few a small sampling of comments from customers. From Deborah. Is anyone still having problems with the town of Apex utility billing? I set up a new account, paid my bill online last month under the My Account, and when I went to log in for this new bill, I can't, and I'm reading this directly, I can't be found as registering. Got the highest bill ever for August, and I can't compare it to last month because you have to have something to compare it to, but the gal on the other end saw it. The phone wait was over 30 minutes, and when she transferred me to IT support, it disconnected. I am so over this. From Teresa, how does this even make sense? Please explain it. And she posted her bill. She compared the usage to the time frame For 47 days, we used 26,844 of electricity. But for 18 days, we used 28,054. And Lee replied, my bill for 18 days was $334. I've never had a bill over $300. From Sandy, 3 trips going into the office and talking to a person, not online, about my balance. The town has had my money verified by the bank, and I showed proof to the utility staff since August 1. As of August 21, they still cannot tell me where my money was with the town. Of course, we know there are many, many more. Thank you for your time tonight.
Don Cozzolino. 3 minutes.
Dawn Cozzolino, 3632 Bosco Road. Good evening, Mayor Gilbert, council members. Apex is growing quickly, and every decision about roads, development, and new neighborhoods shapes the town we live in. Because these choices affect all of us, it's important that the process is clear, consistent, and rooted in practices that build public trust. Regional transportation planning plays a key role in shaping that growth. Committees such as the Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization's Technical Advisory Committee, known as CAMPO TAC, help guide funding decisions and set priorities that ripple across communities. These are long-term choices, often decided years in advance, which means the safeguards around what matter just as much as the projects themselves. In North Carolina, the State Ethics Commission requires all voting members of transportation advisory committees and their alternatives to file statements of economic interest and real estate disclosure forms. These aren't routine paperwork. They are checks and balances designed so that the public can see when overlapping roles or property interests might exist. And when necessary, the system also requires recusals, not as a penalty, but as a safeguard that protects both the officials serving and the residents impacted. Why are these steps important? Because transportation decisions can affect the property values and community access in very real ways. If a project is delayed, rerouted, or reprioritized, one property might be spared disruption, while another becomes more isolated or loses value. Committee members may know about these shifts long before the public does. This is exactly why disclosure and recusal requirements exist, to keep decisions focused on the public good and to prevent even the appearance of private benefit. In reviewing available filings going back several years, I noticed the records themselves are clear, but public statements about them have not always been consistent. To help clarify, I shared documentation with the town leadership and also submitted a public records request. That request remains unanswered after more than 90 days. A timely response would strengthen confidence that Safeguards North Carolina put in place and is just not theoretical, but active and working. Ethics rules and transparency measures were established to keep government accountable, and they work best when consistently observed. They protect the integrity of the process, the officials who serve, and the residents who rely on these decisions being made fairly. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking tonight. Esham Osman is the last speaker. Three minutes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, town staff. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. While I appreciate the optimism from Town Manager Vosburgh today about the utility billing situation, I don't share that optimism. I listened to the work session that the council had last week, and it's clear that there is a disconnect somewhere. And I would like to repeat a quote from Jeff Bezos, the founder and former CEO of Amazon. He said, when the data and the anecdotes don't match, believe the anecdotes. There is something there that are affecting too many residents with their utility bills. And I understand it's a complex process. We started with a cyber attack, which wasn't planned, totally understand. Complex systems, 18 of them. I saw the flow charts, I get it. Changing to new vendors, totally understand. But there's still something fundamentally broken with our system. The public has been very patient with the town, but at some point, we need better transparency, better answers, and more information. And the most disheartening part of the work session last week is when staff recommended to enforce late fees and disconnections in November. And I get it that we're still in August, and they wanted to start a communication saying, starting in November, we want to start late fees again and disconnections. But with the public lack of confidence in the current system, I appreciate the mayor and other council members stepping up and saying, no, we shouldn't do that yet. But again, it shows a disconnect between the data and the community sentiment. There's a problem here with the utility billing. A lot of our community members cannot afford their bills because of the discrepancies. A lot of us are very fortunate that we can. And I understand sometimes it's billing days, sometimes it's rates, sometimes it's summer, it's hot. I understand all of that. But when I take my example and look at my two bills, one was 45 days, which is higher than the 30, so I accepted that it should be higher. It was in the middle of the summer, it was hot, totally fine. We had a July rate change. I accept that it's a little bit higher than normal. The next bill is 18 days. So the exact logic should hold, that it should be lower. It's 18 days. It's also relatively the same temperature. I should see a savings. My 18-day bill is almost exactly the same as my 45-day bill. A family of four cannot use the same amount of water in 18 days as 45. So, and again, these are the anecdotes that you have to listen to, you have to believe. The staff is great. I went down to town hall to the staff today. They want to work the best, but it's an overwhelming situation, crisis you used in that talk last week, and something needs to be addressed because it's affecting many, many community members, and it's losing faith in the town, and we need to find a solution. Thank you very much.
All right, that closes out our public forum. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who took the time to come out tonight to speak. It's important that we hear from you. And we'll go ahead and take a recess to allow people to get out. So we'll take a 10-minute recess. All right, we're back in session. Councilwoman Killingsworth is making her way back, but you good? You're in deep conversation. Okay. We're now moved to public hearing 1, Apex Transportation Plan Amendments Mobility Hub. Ms. Shannon Cox.
All right, thank you. Yep, so we have proposed amendments for you tonight to the Apex Transportation Plan that reflect the recommendations from the Mobility Hub Plan that was prepared by the North Carolina Department of Transportation in partnership with the town and was accepted by Town Council at the May 13th, 2025 meeting. So we're now bringing forward those amendments to reflect those recommendations. The first exhibit shows the overall area of amendments, and then I have a couple exhibits that zoom in a little bit, but these amendments are for the transit plan map as well as the bicycle and pedestrian system plan map. So just to give you an idea of the extent, they begin all the way at the Strollway, connecting to town campus, and extend all the way down to Tingen Road, where the town is also studying a future railroad grade separation in that location. The nexus for all of these amendments is a proposed change to our transit plan map. We show currently a future rail and bus transit center in the proximity of Center Street, where this blue circle is. Based on the Mobility Hub Plan, the recommendation is to move that to the proximity of East Moore Street, as that was shown as a more feasible location to serve future passenger rail. So the idea is initially that would serve bike, pedestrian, and bus transit, but that it would be positioned to eventually serve passenger rail. So the first and main amendment is a transit plan map amendment. The remaining amendments are for the bicycle and pedestrian system plan map, and these are all really about getting people easily to and from that mobility hub or rail and bus transit center. So the mobility hub location is shown in blue. There is a proposed amendment to add side path along East Moore Street to enhance the pedestrian experience between Salem Street and the mobility hub, which would be generally where the gravel parking lot is now in some of the adjacent property. The second amendment is to add a future grade-separated bicycle and pedestrian crossing, which we anticipate would be a bridge that would connect the mobility hub to a possible future rail platform on the east side of the railroad tracks. In addition, it would provide a connection, a bike ped connection from the east side of the tracks to the west side. There's also a proposal to add a second grade-separated bike ped crossing of East William Street on the east side of the railroad tracks. People could still cross at the intersection with Salem Street, where there's a signal there, but this new connection could provide a crossing without any conflicts with vehicles. It would provide a direct connection from Tingen Road all the way up potentially to the Strollway, which brings me to the last amendment, which is a side path added along the east side of the railroad tracks all the way from Tingen Road, approximately following Elm Street to connect to the Strollway. And that you can see the full extent of that on the first slide. It's that purple dashed line. Staff do recommend all of these amendments. They were reviewed with staff in Transportation, Infrastructure, and Development, Parks and Recreation, Police and Fire, and all were supportive of the proposed amendments. They were also unanimously recommended for approval by the Planning Board at their August 11th meeting, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Questions for Ms. Cox? All right. All right, hearing none. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for comments. No one signed up to speak. We'll close public hearing. It's back to council for a possible motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Killingsworth motion.
Second.
Second, Zuckerman, all in favor?
Before we vote real quick, I had a comment
Sure,
for
go ahead.
discussion point. I support these changes, and I also want to make note that I believe the side path between Tingen Road and the connecting to the downtown strollway and the grade separated crossing above 55 will take a substantial, if not majority, of the demand of the Tingen Road Bridge crossing to get to downtown. And I can't strongly enough say I support prioritizing this construction before the Tingen Road tunnel crossing, because I think it is a great project and will do a lot more for the community than that tunnel will. So I just want to go on record now saying that. I said that last meeting too, but just want to go on record again on that. Thanks.
All right, any other discussion points? Thank you for that. All right, hearing none, we have the motion, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right, moving now to public hearing 2 and 3. And there was a motion, I guess staff is requesting a continuance to the September 23rd.
Move we continue.
Yes, sir. The applicant is requesting a continuance for September 23rd for the second and third
Okay,
item.
there's a motion on behalf.
Great, so moved.
All right,
Second.
second again. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, all right, motion carries unanimously. We'll move now to public hearing 4, annexation number 804, towns on 1011 Old US 1 Highway. Diane Ken.
Good evening. So this property is generally in our kind of middle south area of our jurisdiction. You can see it's near Holland Road and Old US 1. It is 26.218 acres. This is a townhome project that was previously approved with the rezoning had 160 townhome units, but the master subdivision plan showing 148. They do need to annex in order to get town services, water and sewer, and so staff does recommend approval.
All right, thank you. Questions? Thank you so much. Are there any questions for Mr. Roach? He was here. Any questions for Mr. Roach? All right, hearing none. All right, we'll open up the public hearing for comments. Don Cozzolino is the first person to speak.
Dawn Cozzolino, 3632 Bosco Road. I know this is an annexation, but I just want to talk about our community more. So Apex is growing rapidly, annexing land, approving high-density developments, and steadily reshaping the town. Over the last 5 years, there have been 26 amendments to the 2045 land use map, 6 of them in 2025 alone, along with numerous annexations and rezonings. Each amendment is not just a yes or no vote. They affect traffic, schools, infrastructure costs, and the character of our community. Residents are often told projects meet the land use map. What isn't emphasized is that this is the 2045 plan. To most people, that sounds like impacts will be felt decades from now. In reality, they are immediate. Leaving out the context makes growth appear routine when in fact it is moving much faster than the plan anticipated. Apex encourages higher density development through incentives tied to affordable housing rather than labeling rezonings themselves as affordable. Developers may receive benefits like increased density or zoning flexibility if they include units that meet federal definitions of affordable housing based on the area median income, or AMI. AMI is calculated using the median household income for a metropolitan area with thresholds set as percentages of that median to determine who qualifies for those affordable units. Most of these projects, however, are market rate units, and many are located outside qualified census tracts, or QCTs. By federal definition, QCTs are areas where incentives are intended to reach lower income families. When projects occur outside those areas, it raises a question for residents. Are those units truly helping working families who need relief, or are they giving developers a kind of license to build anywhere with little oversight? Clear explanation about MAI levels, unit mix, and how incentives are applied is essential so the public can understand who benefits. It's important to remember that regulations and safeguards do exist through zoning codes, housing policies, and federal guidelines to ensure that incentives are used responsibly and the projects serve a public purpose. These systems are in place to protect the residents, guide growth, and provide accountability, and reinforcement rests with the state or local or federal agencies, I should say. Residents naturally worry when agendas run hundreds of pages, projects are approved quickly, and community concerns are noted but rarely addressed in detail. And my request is simple: be transparent when invoking the 2045 plan and clearly explain how affordable housing units, AMI levels, and QCT designations are being applied. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cozzolino. The public hearing for comment is closed. It's back to council for discussion, leads for possible motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion, Killingsworth.
Second.
Second, Gant. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. All right, UDO amendments. Bruce Venable.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Bruce Venable, Planner 2 with the Planning Department. In December of 2024, the North Carolina Supreme Court heard a case, School Dev E LLC versus the Town of Wake Forest, where they ruled that the term surrounding in the town's regulations was too ambiguous. The court determined that a site plan and subdivision had been wrongfully denied for not meeting the comprehensive plan and unified development ordinance standards requiring connectivity with surrounding neighborhoods. So essentially, like you've seen in our own unified development ordinance, there may be a requirement that says the applicant shall provide vehicular and pedestrian connections to surrounding properties. They said that was too ambiguous, so we're working with legal staff. We've gone through and added some clarifying language to different parts of the UDO that we believe will help meet this and bring us in alignment with case law. As you can see, there are a lot of sections that are included in this. We have Article 2, 4, 7, 8, and 12 that will all be represented in this UDO amendment here. I do want to point out that there have been some instances in the Unified Development Ordinance where the word surrounding has received no changes, no additional language. That's been reviewed by planning staff and legal staff that decided there was no additional information required there. So you'll see a pattern here. I'm going to try not to read through all of them so it's repetitive for you, but I'll highlight key sections where we're at and then allow this to appear on screen so we can look it over. The first one in Article 2, you'll see here that we've added the wording all in front of surrounding in multiple places. That way we can provide a more clearly defined intent of what the UDO is looking for. So in this case, it's all surrounding. Again, you can see that here and under conditional zoning districts of Article 2. Under the Chapter 2 again, under plan development, again, we can see all has been added again there. I will point out I'm going to stop in situations where all felt was not sufficient enough. So here additionally, all the surrounding areas of the proposed cul-de-sac shall be considered and indicated through the street. So again, we're just adding additional language, just providing additional clarification here. This is what's been added in Article 2. Again, under the traditional neighborhood district, there's multiple sections that address cul-de-sacs. Again, we've added the all, and then again, repeated the areas of proposed cul-de-sac. Again, same, all has been added here. I'll just leave it on the screen for a second. Under the major employment center. Again, all has been added there. Under public facilities and minor deviations. Again, special use permits. Again, site plans. Supplemental standards. So again, under supplemental standards for your utilities, there's going to be multiple utility uses here that again have had the word all added in front of the word surrounding to provide explicit intent. Again, same concept here with commercial uses. All has been added where appropriate. In Article 7, under design standards, again, all has been added where it's appropriate. Again, you see similar language here. Again, areas of the proposed cul-de-sacs, similar language that was in other sections, just repeated here as well for consistency. Again, in Article 8, for recourse conservation areas, all has been added. Off-street parking standards, exterior lighting, and then lastly, Article 12, terms defined. This did go before your planning board on August 11th, where they voted unanimously for approval. Staff is recommending approval, and if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them today.
Thank you, Mr. Venable, for the presentation. Any questions? All right, hearing none.
Thank you.
All right. We'll open up public hearing for comment. No one signed up to speak. Public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion Zigerman.
Second.
Second Killingsworth. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. All right, new business 1, council meeting minutes. Who's presenting?
Yes, I'll go ahead and do it. Thank you, Mayor. So I pulled the minutes from the minute approvals from the last town council meeting because I wanted to bring your attention, everybody's attention, to a section of the minutes from the June 24th town council meeting. This was a section where we had been approving spots for on our citizen advisory committees. So once we got to the Board of Adjustment, I won't read the minutes directly, but give the gist. We had 2 recommendations from you, the mayor. I made the motion to strike through one of the recommendations. You responded by saying you were not accepting any amendments at this time and asked if there was a motion to approve. I restated my position to strike through the current Board of Adjustment, the name. You said you're only accepting motions to approve. Then I said, okay, I make a motion to deny the recommendation. And you announced that the motion to approve was not made, therefore the item would return to you for further consideration, and the item was closed. So a commentary on that, and maybe have a discussion. Commentary is I believe that my motion was germane and that you inappropriately acted to stop that motion from proceeding. But it also I have a couple questions, maybe a discussion, the whole board can discuss it. One is when you said you're not accepting amendments at this time, I guess one of the questions is our only choice as a governing body to either say yes or nothing to both of the people? That's one question. And also, are the nominees always supposed to be linked together without separating them for separate votes?
Yeah, appreciate your questions. I'll start out by saying, I'm gonna ask you a question. Didn't we have this discussion in my office after that meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not sure why we bring this back up. Because we had a resolution, we talked through it, we came to an agreement moving forward. And I acknowledge your concern. So we're moving forward. And when we get to the next meeting, we have those appointments, it'll be carried out at that time. Okay. And that's my only response.
There was a meeting. The public didn't hear it. My colleagues didn't hear it. So
okay. Well, maybe you can explain it to your colleagues.
Okay. So it is the only choice that we have on the nominees. Is your understanding that it's either yes or no action taken?
What my response is when we get to the meeting on September the 9th, we'll proceed accordingly. Okay. That's my response. Okay. But do you expect them to be linked, the 2 nominees in this case, to be linked together? Or, because what I was tempted to do was split the nominees up and maybe affirmatively vote for one and not for the other. You can present the motion as you please, and we'll deal with it at that time. Okay. But I will tell you, just so everybody knows, I plan to submit the same 2 names every single time, and I'm not changing. Right. Just to give you guys a fair warning.
You expressed that to me previously, and it makes me question our procedures a little bit if there's this kind of stalemate that can be created by inaction on nominees.
I think that is a rules committee meeting with attorney guidance, not just our attorney, but other attorneys' opinions as well. And you and I had a discussion as well.
Yeah, I just believe in the spirit of Robert's rules is that we don't have these stalemates that get set up like this, and that Robert's rules are intended to help the governing bodies conduct business in an orderly fashion. And a situation where there's a governing body that maybe is not in an agreement with something that can never deny it seems like a bad policy and maybe against Robert rules as far as I can understand them.
Thanks for your comment.
Okay, well, for what it's worth, I believe we have the nominations, like you mentioned, on September 9th. Yep. And I believe we can adjudicate some of these discussions and nominations at that point.
I think that's a better meeting to discuss those.
Right. I implore you to accept our motions and then let them vote on our motions and not kind of veto and blockade our motions.
Again, as we discussed in my office, moving forward, you've been heard, and we'll deal with it at that time.
Okay.
I'd like to point out, Mayor, that this is actually an issue that's specifically addressed in Robert's rules. The concern about a chair not recognizing a motion made by a member.
That's your interpretation.
I'm reading it. It's in front of me.
I read it with an attorney as well.
Well, let me read it. It's chapter 62.4. So if a chair ignores a member seeking the floor while entitled to it, ignores a properly made non-dilatory motion, gavels through a motion in an improper attempt to cut off debate, or violates any other rule, any member may immediately raise a point of order. It's a procedure. To raise a point of order, a member rises without waiting to recognize, immediately addresses the chair saying, I raise a point of order, or simply point of order. The chair must then ask a member to state the point, after which the member does. The chair is obligated to either rule whether the point is well taken, briefly stating the reasons for that ruling, or to submit the question to the assembly. Immediately after the chair makes the ruling, any member who disagrees with it may move to appeal, and it goes on to describe the appeal process. Mayor, you recall after that meeting, you and I had a conversation, I was out in the hallway there, where I tried to describe this process without this in front of me, as I understand Robert's rules. So I guess my question to you is, have you read this section? And would you, I guess, abide by the rules in Robert's rules? Like you're obligated as the chair to recognize motions that are made by members, or rule them out of order, or put it to a vote for us, if you believe it's
I'm hearing everything you guys said, and here's my concern. You didn't have a conversation with me prior to this meeting. You could have came to me, had a conversation, and broke all of this down. Just hear me out, okay? If we're talking about rules, I can bring up a lot of rules that haven't been followed. We don't want to go down that road. Let's just deal with this on September the 9th. And I'm gonna leave it right there. Any other comments?
I will make a motion to accept the minutes
Motion.
for the 4 meetings listed.
Motion again.
I'll make that, second that motion.
As part of the discussion, I'd like to discuss that. I think in these situations, one thing that other bodies do is there's a motion to strike the words of a member that they disagree with and note why. So we can consider doing that. The council could strike the words about, I'm not sure exactly what the words are, around not accepting a motion with a footnote that we believe the motions must be accepted.
I don't understand.
We would modify the minutes. It's a motion you can make when discussing minutes to strike words.
Hey, that's the pass. Whatever y'all want to do. Again, we're moving forward to September the 9th. We're not going to rehash what occurred on the 9th. I mean, prior to that, we're moving forward. That's my last comment about this. We have a motion and a second to accept the meeting minutes. Are we ready for a vote?
I would suggest that we leave the minutes as stated, because that is what happened. And that needs to be in the record, what happened.
So to clarify, when you move to strike, it's literally a strike. The words are still there in the minutes, and they can still be read, and then there's a footnote for why it was stricken. Congress does this all the time.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We were still debating the motion. No one, I was done with debate.
I'll give you that. Does anybody else want to comment?
Arno, you want to weigh in?
I do believe, in general, this is a small board, which allows us to use the relaxed version of the Robert's Rules. That said, we represent a town that has grown significantly over the years. And I think it does require us to grow with the town in terms of the maturity of our proceedings. So I agree with the mayor. There's probably a lot of rules that we can call out that we've been lax with. But I like the idea of starting to tighten things up a little bit because it reflects the size of the population that we represent, right, and the type of government that we need to be in response to that. So with that in mind, I do support the suggestion by Councilmember Mahaffey that we amend the minutes. I agree that this is what happened, right? It's in the past, it's documented as it happened, but also make sure that it is clear and transparent that this was not handled entirely appropriately, and we are aware of it. We have a plan and commitment to do a better job next time, and to simply state that I think is appropriate in this case.
I appreciate all the comments, and I just want everybody to be careful, because if we're calling out everything, we can call out everything. Just remember those words. We have a motion and a second. What you need clarity on?
I just wanted to ask for clarification. Is there any specific wording that you want? Because it sounds like there's a possibility that there might be support for this striking method. Is there anything specific that you want in the footnote? Because it sounds like the minutes are captured accurately, but if there's a footnote, what do you want the footnote to say?
I'd propose a footnote says the motion died for lack of a second, and the council affirms that all motions properly made, non-dilatory motions made by members, need to be recognized by the chair.
So are you making a amendment to the existing motion?
Yes, to approve the minutes. Amend the minutes as it just said.
Could you repeat that one more time, please?
The clerk suggested we had a footnote. The footnote would read, the motion died for lack of a second, which is true. And the council affirms that any motion made by a council member needs to be, any non-dilatory motion made by the council member needs to be recognized by the chair, or the chair must state the reason that it's not germane and subject to appeal to the body.
That's technically what Robert's rule says, so.
That's my interpretation of what I read, yes.
Okay.
I'll accept the addition.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's not a big deal to me. We're moving forward. So we'll carry this to the 9th. We'll have the same situation, and I think we'll deal with another thing then, because I do want to bring up some things at that meeting as well that we probably need to put on the table. All right, so we have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, we move now to new business 2.
Great, awesome, thank you. All right, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I am Suzanne Mason, 329 Old Mill Village Drive, and chair of the Apex Environmental Advisory Board, or EAB. I'm here with Nora Skinner, the Environmental Programs Coordinator for the town. Before you, you have a resolution that was unanimously adopted by the current Environmental Advisory Board at our meeting in July 2025. It is rooted in former Governor Cooper's Executive Order 305, which I'll discuss next. Today, via this resolution, the EAB is asking council to instruct staff to make modifications to the UDO to incorporate the native plant policy and associated definitions promulgated in Executive Order 305.
Former Governor Cooper's EO 305 was signed on February 12, 2024, and it is titled, "In order to protect and restore North Carolina's critical, natural, and working lands." This order has not been rescinded by Governor Stein. Section 6 of this executive order established a native plant policy to support biodiversity, especially native pollinators. The policy applies to landscaping practices on state-owned lands or for state-funded or state-permitted projects and activities. It says that only seeds and plants that the United States Department of Agriculture has classified as native to the state or southeastern United States shall be used. The order also provides a definition of what is southeastern United States for the purposes of this plant policy. The policy also recognizes that native plants everywhere is not always practical nor possible, and it establishes exemptions to this policy. One example is traditional turfgrass areas for which no suitable native planting exists. In the case of a local municipality, one such area would be the outfield of a baseball or softball diamond. The text of the policy that caught the EAB's attention is its last line, which says, quote, "Local governments are encouraged to adopt similar native plant policies," end quote. The town of Apex does not have a formal native plant policy. This recognition, plus the encouragement in the executive order, is why the Environmental Advisory Board adopted this resolution. There are many benefits to establishing a native plant policy. The first is that it would make the town a leader in supporting pollinators and biodiversity. It would also be supportive of the Bee City and Tree City designation goals, as well as the Mayor's Monarch Pledge. There are many properties under town stewardship where native plants could be incorporated as the landscaping needs replacement or enhancement under such a policy. These include town parks, the beds on town campus, at the fire stations, at the police stations, at the fringe of the cemetery, as well as in rights-of-way maintained by the town. There is also a similar opportunity in yet-to-be-completed projects, such as in the new streetscaping on Salem. Together, all of these locations could become rest stops along a pollinator highway. It would also allow the town to lead by example and demonstrate what is possible to individuals, commercial establishments, developers, and even other municipalities. There are additional benefits to having native plants on the landscape. They are easy to grow and once established, typically require minimal maintenance, especially if they are perennial plantings. This has the potential to reduce labor and material costs, such as those for mulching and mowing, and the application of fertilizers and pesticides. Through their often prolific flowering, native plants can increase property values by enhancing aesthetic appeal. Next, I'd like to call your attention to the illustration at the bottom of the slide, or the side of the slide rather. And in it you see two sets of plants. One set of non-native plants, which are on my left-hand side, and native plants on the opposite side. This illustration is showing a comparison of how deep the roots of native plants grow compared to those of non-native plants when they are used similarly. Because of their deeper growing roots, native plants can improve water infiltration and quality by reducing soil compaction, which helps to slow runoff and allow rainwater to soak into the soil, reducing stress on the stormwater system. The executive order provides a good foundation for a municipal native plant policy. However, as you'll note in the resolution, the Environmental Advisory Board does commit assistance to the Town of Apex staff as may be necessary to effect the changes to the UDO. And with the recently expanded board and the addition of Nora to the staff, there is now a deep depth of knowledge to pull from. So with that, and on behalf of the EAB, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity, and we'll take any questions you have.
Okay. Thank you so much for that presentation. Good stuff. Any questions? Ms. Mason? None? All right. Thank you. Thank you for the job you're doing. All right. All right, we move on now to the last item, new business 3, Unified Development Ordinance, possible amendment discussion, student parking.
Mayor, do we need a motion for that?
No, it's just receivers.
Receivers information and discuss the request to direct staff to make modifications to the town's UDO.
Okay.
Okay.
So can you give staff direction?
Verbal agreement, I guess?
Yes, I missed that part.
You
Okay.
can move to direct staff. Sure.
You want to, that's your call.
Yeah, I'll move to direct staff as stated. And I'd like to thank the EAB for the work on this. I love it when our advisory boards bring forward policy changes. Bring their expertise. That's what they're there for. We love it.
I was going to make a similar comment. Thank you to the EAB for bringing a policy forward. It's not frequent that we get policy recommendations from our advisory board, but that's part of what those boards are there for. And I strongly encourage you guys to keep doing it, especially this one. This is kind of a stated practice. We have this in all of our rezoning requests, right, where we put this file forward as an environmental condition or an environmental condition for the rezoning that most often is accepted. So this is not only in line with the executive order, but it's also kind of the de facto practice in the town of Apex. And to see that codified into a policy, I would definitely ask staff to prepare the UDO amendments accordingly.
Okay, so you second.
I second, yeah.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. It's official. All right, we move now to new business 3. You all recall I brought this to you back on August the 12th, and I didn't get the outcome that I was looking for. And I just want to highlight a few points before we move on with it. First of all, I want to give thanks to staff, the planning department, and they found a solution that we put at the table that was in your hands. But you decided you didn't want to go that direction, which is fine. I mean, that's just, people make decisions, and I get it, and I'm all good with that. But what I do want to say is that I'm all about solutions. And at the end of the day, that's what this was about. Listening to parents and students who were facing hardship. That was the only thing I was trying to accomplish, taking care of the parents and students who were facing hardship. And we talked about Annie Scott, who for 10 years has tried to help. You already know the deficit of parking spaces at Apex Friendship High School. That's all I was trying to do. So what was the solution? There was one at the table. Get it, you didn't want to do that one. But what I'm proud to say is that a solution was found, and you all are aware of it. And I'm thankful to those who were involved in making it happen. I will add to that, the biggest concern that you had was traffic safety and the students leaving that property and crossing the street. I actually went out there the first day of school. The traffic signal was working great, no issues. Students followed the pedestrian crossing signal and the crossing guard. It was awesome. Perfect. That addressed your concern. So what I'll say is what Miss Annie is doing, again, she's providing an opportunity and a solution for the community, which helps us. The reason I wanted to keep this on, because I don't really need this now. You guys can do whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do, I'm good. I want to keep the conversation moving because we're not done. There is still a deficit of parking spaces, and what I want to do is work with Wake County Public School System, and I'm asking for your help. I'm asking for you to come alongside me. Let's us work together with the community and figure this out. Let's look at it long term. I don't know what that process looks like, but I'm committed to it, and I'm asking you to do the same. And I know this is a long process. I know some of you won't even be here. So I'm asking those who are looking to take the seats, I want you to treat this as a priority. Our students and families deserve it. Listen to the people. They have legitimate concerns. So with that, I don't need it. You guys can go ahead and vote it down.
Appreciate your comments. Like I said earlier, we never took a vote on this last time, so I think it's appropriate that we keep this on the agenda and take the vote today. I'll reiterate some of my points from last meeting as well, and supplement with some new ones. Nobody, I think, debated the need for parking. There was a solution put on the table that council clearly indicated was the wrong method to solve the problem. A UDO amendment affects not just one property, but many properties. And there's a much more fine-tuned process in place through the rezoning process to achieve this, and get the same effect and outcome, Mr. Mayor, that you desired. The property owner was advised of that process, chose not to follow it. Kind of leaving us with a potential UDO amendment that, I think, certainly from my part, is less than desirable. And I kind of equate that to, trying to drive a brad nail with a sledgehammer. Like, you're gonna hit stuff inadvertently that you don't mean to hit and probably do some damage along the way because it's a broad sweeping change, instead of using the more targeted approach that is available to us. So the objection was not so much about there's no need for parking. It was really the method that we tried to solve for the deficit that you have highlighted. Yes, there's now a signaled crossing, right? I think that helps with the safety concern tremendously. But I will say that, and I mentioned this last time, I appreciate the bias towards action, I think is what I call it. The willingness and desire to get things done and get them done quickly. The chosen method where you individually, without any help from council, without using all the powers of 650 committed town staff members, went out on your own, found a solution. That's not transparency. That's not working with council as a unified government. That's not utilizing our staff in a way that they are here for. And I am disappointed, not in the outcome, but in the method chosen to achieve that outcome. Again, there were other options available, right? These options were suggested in the meeting last time. They were not taken. So that's all I have to say about it.
Is there a motion?
I'd like to speak up. So my stated concerns in the last meeting were about it being a nuisance to the surrounding homeowners, less so than the safety, and that remains. So I'm disappointed in that. But I think in terms of long-term solutions, I've advocated the day after the meeting that as the multimodal liaison from the town council, I think that trying to enhance transit in that area with either microtransit or fixed routes that could serve the school and other places in the western part of Apex is a possible way to alleviate some of the parking concerns. And I think it'd be a better, safer solution as well than people having to cross the street like they do now. So I hope staff and we can make this work where the especially maybe microtransit out in the western part of the municipality can be something that the students can utilize to get to and from school or to Wake Tech or whatever we heard as far as their needs go in that area. So I think the transit plan's coming up in the next month or two, and I hope it includes some of that information. Thanks.
And to be clear, I also want to point out that staff is still working on alternate solutions or not alternate necessarily, but supplemental solutions, to address parking concerns, and are working with the Wake County Public School System in the process, right? Which is one of the things that I asked for in my comments last time. So I thank staff for seeing this through and continuing to work this issue.
Yeah, I forgot to add a number here. There are approximately 120 students being helped by this parking lot because they are using carpool, so it's not just one student per vehicle. They're like 3 and 4. So it's good impact. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to deny the proposed UDO amendment.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. That is the last item we have. Thank y'all for coming out. Enjoy your evening. We got out of here before midnight.